Being a copywriter and a fragrance enthusiast, I just could not help but notice how poor the Valentine's Day campaigns were this year. So I'm going to discuss some of them with you, tell you what you should do, you shouldn't do. And our first victim of today is MEDIOCRE Parfum. So I'm just going to move so that you can see what I've written there. And essentially, MEDIOCRE has a good offer. Their offer was that you will get a 10ml of your choice when you buy 100ml of any of their fragrances, and they are doing different gift wrapping special for Valentine's Day, which is great, but there is no storyline, so they are not getting you excited about using their fragrances, and it's not actually related to Valentine's, apart from the fact that it's red and that there are flowers. It is just very low effort, which is a shame because MEDIOCRE has great fragrances and they have a good offer, so I'm just not sure why the copy got missed. It's just not very individualistic. People are just going to read it and see, well, do you even want me to buy your fragrances, or are you just like reminding me that you exist? That sort of thing. Now, there are plenty of approaches that were very similar to this, and I've compiled a list of some of the ones I want to share with you. And where should I be? I don't know. Let's go here. So these are some of the brands that have a similar approach, and I'll discuss some of them with you. On the top left, we've got Diptyque, and essentially what Diptyque did is just show you this picture, which is essentially like balloons that are holding their products, and reminded you that you can buy their products if you want to for Valentine's Day, which is just extreme low effort. They didn't even offer anything. In the middle, we've got here Givenchy, and they have a good idea, but the execution was not so good. So they essentially said that you can find your sensual signature fragrance for Valentine's Day, and then they promoted their fragrances. And the way they did so is by just listing the notes in the fragrance and not giving you a storyline instead. Why is this scent great for Valentine? It's not because it has iris, I'll tell you that. So it definitely should be a little bit more improved. You should have a storyline. You should say why exactly is this scent perfect for Valentine, and create a storyline. If you want to know exactly how I would do that, so then stay to the end of the video because I will give you a template of what you should do. On the right, we have got Atelier des Heures, which firstly, they don't even have a good offer. Their offer was you'd get 15% discount if you buy 200ml bottles, which the bottles are expensive as is. I'd just rather get 10% on one bottle than 15 on two. And their fragrances were just not released for Valentine's Day, but they just made them into a Valentine release, even though they were released ages ago. It just kind of didn't really make sense. The thing that fragrance brands don't do very well is that they describe the actual notes, which nobody cares for. What you should describe is how the person would feel, or what kind of person would wear your fragrances, and that would get you much more engagement with the copy you're writing. In the middle row, we've got the most mediocre of the bunch. So we have on the left is Chanel. They just told you, well, actually, if you still want to buy a gift, you can buy it by this time to receive it on Valentine's Day, and you have no codes, nothing. They just listed their top sellers and told you to buy them if you wish. Similarly, we've got on the right, that was Tom Ford. They just said, oh, do you want to gift a timeless scent? Here are our top sellers that are always timeless. You can gift these. Again, very low effort, no copy at all. What are you doing? In the middle, which is here, we've got the most generous offer of 25%, and that was by Kayali Fragrances. However, we just don't have much copy. It was just like 25% off. It's the best in the game. Do you want it or not? A general theme with these fragrance copies is that it makes the consumer feel as though you don't really care if they buy your fragrances or not, which is not how you want them to feel. So when I read these, I just think, well, do you even believe in your own fragrances, or are you just like wanting to grab as much cash off your consumers as possible? In the bottom right, we have got Atelier d'Orange, who did two things. So firstly, they have a very generic, not really related to Valentine kind of campaign that they sent quite a few days before Valentine's Day. The one thing that was saving it is that they had a timer. So there was a timer of the amount of days that is left for you to buy, which was good. It's definitely a good touch. But the email doesn't actually have any copy other than the first sentence that they had, which is not really related to Valentine. So I'm not really sure what their idea was there. And again, they just listed a few fragrances that they suggest you to buy, which is not good. I'll get onto that in the next slide and what you should do instead. They also had a giveaway. I'm not a huge fan of giveaways. The way they went about it is a little bit obnoxious, I think. They just like sent you a link and it's very confusing to read. Some of the links on the email that they sent don't actually work. They still haven't fixed that, by the way. And then you can join the giveaway in a very 2016 way where you have to follow a few accounts and comment and like and share things. I just don't like the way they went about it. It just cheapens the brand. And I think État Libre d'Orange had a very peak moment when they signed with an agency and they kind of led a campaign with the negative comments that they were getting. If you don't know, that actually increased their sales by 600%. And after that, they just plummeted and did not even attempt to make anything close to that, which I think they can absolutely do by improving their copy, and so can every other fragrance brand on this list. By the way, I don't hate these fragrance brands. I'm only discussing their copy, and how poor the copy is not indicative of how great their fragrances are. I do own fragrances from most of these brands. Their copy just could be improved. On the bottom left, that is the Ex Nihilo, and they tried to kind of write a story, and I absolutely love the way they went about it, of commoderating your relationship with a scent. Fantastic idea, great. But they just didn't describe it in a story. They just wrote those 2 lines and listed the fragrances like everyone else does. Could have been great, fantastic idea. Execution is not so much. Moving on to another horrific example is Boadicea the Victorious. Now, Boadicea the Victorious is a great fragrance house. If you don't know them, get to know them. They are fantastic and British owned. But the thing is, they use the most commonly used writing tactics by the most inexperienced copywriters. And that is to include everything that the brand sells in one single campaign, in one single email rather. So on the right-hand side, you would have screenshots of the email that they sent for Valentine's Day, and they only sent one, and it will have the call to actions. So just as a fun exercise, let's actually count how many things they've got. So we have the journal article, Ardent, which is one of their fragrances. It's actually quite good. We have the travel sprays. We have the personalizing the bottle. We have the scented candles. We have the fairy dust. That's 6. And you can also view their Valentine edit. 7 links that you can click on in the same email. Do you know how many links are going to be clicked on? None of them. Because you have to be specific when you're targeting via email. If you're not specific, you'll have 0 customers. Choose one thing and make the email based on it. I would have released 7 emails that are targeting the different things that they are talking about instead of just releasing one that has all of them, because people don't want to like receive an email with everything you sell and then try to look through all of your catalog just to find the scent that they want. They want you to know exactly what they are thinking. They want you to know if they are looking to buy a fragrance or they are looking to customize their bottle. And usually there are 2 things that people should focus on in terms of the desire of the customer. So firstly, we've got the desires that are in our human nature that we can't really control, that are innate in us. The ones that relate to fragrance are potentially having sex and gaining power. For Valentine's Day, I feel like the compliments and the sexy route fits a lot better. But I get that it's not the style of every fragrance brand, so you shouldn't just follow that if it's not what you're looking for. Or potentially a nurtured desire. And at the moment, the most popular thing in the fragrance industry is smelling unique and edgy. So those are the 3 things that you should be targeting. Compliments, confidence, and smelling unique. If your email doesn't talk about any of these, it's highly likely not a good email. Now, Penhaligon's are an example of doing what Boadicea the Victorious were trying to do in a good way. Essentially, that's the elevated version of what Boadicea the Victorious were trying to do. And usually, Penhaligon's don't do great emails. But this time it was different because they included a storyline. So when you receive an email and they tell you about the layers of love, and they represent it in cakes because it's related to love, and they tell you that they've perfected the method for Valentine's Day. And if you click on this button here that says click the recipe, which is on the email, it takes you to their website and it explains the thing fully and it tells you what it is. It has a recipe and what you need to do and everything. And essentially, it's trying to market all of their different products. So the scent, the hand wash, the lotion, the oil, and the hair mist, which is a good idea. However, they missed the mark with one thing, which is if you are going to follow the recipe, you're going to have to click on the 5 separate things instead of just buying one package. So what I would have done here is make a unique package that is similar to the cakes. So make one layer of the cake, the actual package that people are getting the products in, and put everything in it where the customer will buy one thing and get all the recipe. That makes so much more sense, because no customer is going to buy 5 separate things just because you included a storyline. They will buy one thing, even if it's more expensive, because people are not trying to save money. They are just looking for a good deal. So if you phrase it in a way where it's a good deal, then a lot of people would buy it. One last thing that I would improve here is that in the email, they told you that if you spend more than 130, you get, I think, automizers of a certain cent. I forgot what the actual offer was. And the thing that I don't like about that is that it's also written in a huge banner on the website. So when you go to the website, it doesn't feel like this was for you. It is for everyone. Anyone who goes on their website can access the deal. So again, it's not very individualistic, and it could be improved upon. Just include it in one. Don't include it in both. Either make it special for people that you're writing via email, or just leave it on the website. So yes, it's definitely an improved example. And lastly, we've got a little bit of a cheat method here, which is releasing a fragrance just in time. I'm actually going to move because you can see the plenty of fragrance houses that decided to do the same thing. Now, I'm going to highlight 2 because they went kind of different ways, equally as good, equally as creative. Firstly, we've got Goldfield & Banks, which essentially, out of the fragrance houses that I'm describing today, potentially has the best copy, and they have great fragrances. Absolutely recommend this house if you don't know them. And what they do is they send you an email to tell you that they have a new fragrance coming, and you can potentially get a sample for free. You just have to enter your details and you get the sample, which I did, and I did get the sample. And then after you smell it, they'll send you an email and tell you more about it, tell you that it's no longer a Harrods exclusive and you can access it anywhere. They describe it as the scent that will aid you on your journey to wherever you're going. It's a great marketing campaign, and it's a great way to get people to buy your fragrances. They build trust with you, and they build a great relationship with their customers through sending you a sample. So they send you a sample, get your trust, and then tell you about the fragrance. Great. We've got Eccentric Molecules, which want to achieve the same thing, but they did it in the opposite way. So they told you that their fragrance, they are releasing new fragrances. So if you don't know, Eccentric Molecules have a line that is ISO Super, so it's Molecule 01, and they call it the M Plus line. So the M Plus line is where they have Molecule 01, which is ISO Super, and then they add different notes to it. And they are releasing 3 different new flankers to that line, one with garlic wood, one with black tea, and one with ginger, which all sound equally as exciting. But how you get the sample before anyone else is if you buy one of their existing fragrances, and you will get a sample of the 3 new releases, and you will be able to smell them before anyone else does. Again, that's great. And the one thing that they did that did stand out from the rest is that they sent you 3 separate emails to market the 3 separate scents. They didn't send one email and tell you the 3 new releases, because that's not good. They've sent 1 email per fragrance. Again, both are equally as valid. I presume that the Goldfield & Banks way will get you more sales, purely because people are getting something for free without giving anything in return. So far, I've only told you what not to do. So I feel like I should potentially give you an example of what I would potentially do if I were a copywriter for one of these brands. I don't work for any of the brands that are in the video, and I'm not paid to say anything. I'm just giving you my opinion as a copywriter who likes fragrances, and think that the fragrance industry should absolutely improve their copy, because, quite frankly, it is horrific. So this is the kind of line of copy that I would go around. So I wrote this copy for Goldfield & Banks. Obviously, they didn't pay me to do so. I just wrote it to show you in the video. Again, it's not the best copy I've written, but it shows you the ideas that you should include in your copy. So you could use it essentially as a template. So firstly, you need to target one of the 3 things that we discussed earlier. I chose the primal desire of getting laid, and because it goes well with Valentine. I've personalized the email by including a name and saying "let me guess," so it's kind of intriguing. Even without entering the email, that's what they'll see. They'll see their name, they'd want to enter, they would want to know more. And then I start with the story. I don't tell you about a fragrance straight away. You don't know what this email is about when you start reading it. And I kind of attempt to get in the head of the person who is reading the email and trying to understand them more. I've used wording that is used in the fragrance industry. I've attempted to understand their troubles of trying a lot of fragrances and none of them actually working, and seeing people that don't have to do that because they have a signature scent that's great, and then how you can be that person as well. And then only at the end, I speak of the scent. And the good thing here is that I don't describe the actual notes. I only say a woody spicy. But other than that, I'm describing what kind of person you'll be if you wear it, which is what you should be doing. You shouldn't be saying, oh, it has this special sandalwood from Australia and it has the. Nobody cares. No one cares about that. You should describe to them what kind of person they'll be if they will wear this scent. Which in here, I'm saying, you will be the person where everyone wants to be your Valentine if you wear this scent. Again, it links to the story, it links to the scent, and at the end I say that it was a Harrods exclusive. I would emphasize the first time you'll be able to get it wherever you are, and I will give a 10% off code as well with a link for them to buy. Now notice I've only given one link in this entire video. I've only given one link in this entire email, and that's how your emails should be. You should only include one link. Your customers should know exactly what they want to do. They read the email, they want to get laid, they know the scent will do it, they will click on the link and get it. Your emails should have one idea, and it should be supported by one storyline, and at the end, your customers should be directed to do one thing. If you're going to take anything from the video, just take the idea of one when writing emails. Everything in the email should be a one thing, one idea, one product, one call to action. And that will set you apart from pretty much every single fragrance brand because most of them don't know how to write copy. Now, if you notice, I haven't included any fragrance brands that I wouldn't change anything in terms of their copywriting, and that is because I genuinely believe that there is no fragrance house that has perfect copywriting. If you think you know some, just put them in the comments below and I will have to check them out and stand corrected if there are some that exist, but I haven't come across any. And I just want to say that I have a company and it's called Crimson Copy. We focus on copywriting, brand positioning, and marketing for fragrance brands specifically. If you want me to have a look at your brand, your copywriting, or you want to be a client of ours, then click the link in the description and book a meeting with me so that we can discuss this further and make sure you're increasing your sales and your copywriting is not lacking, which is actually very easy to do if you're in the fragrance industry because everyone else is not doing a great job. Until next time, see ya.